and welcome to this video. Today I am sharing with you these brand new templates from Janie's Originals. They are launching on the 1st of July on Hobby Maker, but Janie did a preview of them on her page, Crafting with Janie's Originals, last night, and so I am going to be doing to start with a video using this one. This makes a sort of an A6 size book, and then I'll do a separate video using this one, and I'm going to use just a couple of different stitches. A basic pamphlet stitch here. We might look at a chain stitch for this one, but with this template spine there are loads of possibilities, and I've got it in my head at the moment that I might do a few different ones, just showing you the different combinations that you can get from this spine template. Now normally when you do your own books you end up making your own spine templates, and I've got a box full of ones made from card, but this is just perfect because this is reusable over and over again. So as I said, comes as a pack of 2, and I can't honestly remember what the price was, so I do apologize for that. If I can find it, I'll put it on in the description. So it comes in 2. The spines they pop out because you need these to be separate, and then this gives you the separate parts. Your front cover, your back cover, and this is the spine, and then this is the spine template that will help you to get the holes in the right place for sewing your book together. So similar with this one, but because it's a smaller book, it's roughly A7, I think. There's only 1 row of holes here, and there's different things you can do with that. So this one I'm going to put to the side, and we're going to focus on this, using this one. Now, if you are new to bookbinding, these are going to be absolutely perfect because, as I said, they will give you multiple combinations of the way you can sew your spine. So as you progress and get more confident, you can do different stitches. But also if you're kind of, if you make them for gifts or maybe you make them to sell, this will just help get you really consistent and quick. It'll just help to make sure that your sizing is always the same, so your stock always looks the same. So this is what I'm here to show you, but there are some other things that are essential if you are going to do get into bookbinding. So one of them is a piercing awl. Now again, you can get this on Janie's website. I think they're $2.99. Don't quote me on that. I'll put links to everything that I can in the description. So you do need a piercing awl. That is really important. If you don't have one of those, I suppose you could use a pokey tool, but quite frankly these things are designed for the job. You need a self-heal cutting mat. I happen to have a massive one on my desk, but just a small one will do, because you're going to need to cut things. So you also need a knife. Now I would suggest that this kind of knife is better, but when I was sorting stuff out earlier, this blade is blunt and I haven't changed it. So a good knife, a metal edged ruler, really important when you're cutting. Have a metal edge ruler. This one has an added bonus. It allows you, it's got it's got the measurements along the top. It's also got like a centering point, so you can work out where the middle of, excuse me, I've got hiccups, where the middle of something is. So those things I'd say are essential. What else is essential? You're going to need a needle. Again, you can get bookbinding needles on Janie's website, very reasonable. A bone folder. Okay, that's important. And some wax thread. Now, I'm not sure if Janie sells wax thread, but you can get all sorts on Amazon, and you can also make your own. Janie does sell beeswax, and you can, if you've got embroidery floss, you can wax your own thread. That's for sewing the book together. Janie does other tools, which when you get a little bit more confident and want to do more, then you can start investing. But what I want to try to show you is that with this sort of basic toolkit, you can make a book without a problem. Now, you can see that my very used punching station is, I think, I don't know how many I've got here, six layers of corrugated card off, just your normal packing box. I know Janie has packing foam that she uses. Occasionally I get to the bottom, but it means I'm pressing too hard, really. So those are the kind of things you need. Some glue. Janie's paper bindery glue is just perfect for this. Obviously, that's what it's designed for. A pencil. I find mechanical ones are better, personally. I think Janie prefers them as well. So that's kind of your tools, okay? Now, and that's what you would need for any book. When you're making a book, you'd need all those with your template. Now, this one is A6, so let me just move these other tools out of the way for a minute and just show you. Oh, I don't know if you can hear that. We've got a very low helicopter going around outside. You might not be able to hear it, but I can. Very loud. Now, I explained the template, so I've shown you that that's the spine. That's what we're going to use for making the holes in the spine. But this is done very cleverly. So these boards are from a pack that you can buy from Janie, a construction bundle. But any grey board, this is 2mm thick, it's quite thick stuff. Any grey board that you might have, or even you could use packing boxes. You could use mount board if you have, odd bits of mount board. And for some of the smaller books, particularly the A7 one, you could use, like cereal packet kind of things. So Janie's boards they're just a little bit smaller than the apertures, but you don't want them too tight. So that's my two boards for my cover. Now, if you're cutting your own, if you had your own piece of card not ready cut, then all you would do is draw round. Let me get my pencil to show you. All you would do is, and in fact I would be tempted to butt it right up to the corner here and then draw in the thing and then cut out. See that? And you can cut out your boards for your covers. So if you don't have them pre-cut, you can use the center, these aperture bits here, this bit and this bit, for your covers. If you are having a hard spine, and in this one we are going to do a hard spine, which means I'm going to use grey board in the spine as well. There are lots of other ways to use, but I'm going to show in this one how to use a hard spine. Then you would need to cut a piece the size for your spine, and you can either draw in there or you can draw around the spine template, because basically the spine will be the same size as that template. Okay, so that's how the inside of it works, and that helps us to line everything up properly. But also, now these are from Janie. This is from the I think she's called it A4 Mix It Up pack that goes with the launch of these. Some of them are portrait, but you need to look for the landscape ones to do your books. Now, the idea is then that you will draw around the edge of this, because this is what will give you the how do I say it? It will give you the bit that folds over your book, and it gives it a nice even edge. So that in there is what's going to be on my front cover, and that is what's going to be on my back. So you can fiddle it around. Now, even if I need to use the white bit, which I'm not too sure that I need to, that wouldn't matter because you'll cover that on the inside anyway. But I'm going to line it up there, and I'm going to, oh, excuse me, I've got my hair, so I'm going to turn this around so that I can see what I'm drawing. So we're going to draw down here. And what I'm going to do is where the white bit is so that I can see, I'm going to put that mark there just so that I know, because I've got quite a dark paper here. So I've done that both ends. So what I'll be able to do in a minute is to give it a chop with my guillotine, and then I need to do it. I'll turn it round this way. And put that on there, and then we've got that there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab my guillotine, and I'm going to cut. If you've got a lighter paper, you can draw all the way around it, and it will be absolutely fine. It's just that because I've chosen quite a dark colour here, it's not so easy to see, so I've drawn myself a little bit. And then I need to remember to cut off the white here and the white here. Okay. Right. Oh. Now I when I went through the paperback, I've chosen another one that is nice and well, it matches. So this is what I'm going to use on the inside of the cover. So when you're looking, or you know, I like to be quite matchy. So I would choose two that go together, but it's entirely up to you. You can do this equally with fabric. If you're part of Crafting with Janie's Originals already, you can go and see the live that she did on the preview of this, where she actually used fabric. She used some of her new fabric panels. It works in the same way, just this bit would now be fabric. Okay, so I'm going to turn this over because obviously we don't want to stick things on there. And then this should now fit my paper. And so I know now that I need to stick my board there. I need to stick my spine in there, and I need to stick my my other cover, my other board there. Right, so let's do that. I'm going to get my glue. Just bear with me a moment. Janie does have a silicone mat, but I'm not really sure what I've done with my silicone mat at the moment. I think I've packed it away somewhere. But we'll go with this. So let's put this. Just need something so I don't get glue everywhere because I am terrible with glue. Yes. So I have Janie's paper binding glue. I'm just going to move this to the side so that we can have this in, so you can see where I'm sticking it, as well as me having somewhere to make sure that I don't make a mess. Now, right, I'm pretty sure I've got a brand new glue, so just bear with me. I'm going to, this is how it would come by it. Janie does this paper binding glue. She also, you can buy it on its own, but she also does a glue duo, if you like, where you get this and you also get a matte collage glue, which is great if you're into junk journaling and you want a collage, because you can use it as a sealant and it is matte, whereas this one is, you can still use it like that, but it's got a shiny finish to it. So I'm going to put the glue on the board, and you can use a brush. I tend to use this silicone spatula because then if I forget to rinse it out, it's fine because it will all peel off. So I'm just trying to make sure that I've got glue up to the edges. Okay, so then I'm going to put this on there. Okay, and I am going to turn over and I'm going to take my foam folder, and I'm just going to make sure I've got no air bubbles. So I'm going sort of, if you can, from the center outwards. So turn this back over. So we've got our first bit of our cover in there. I'm going to do the other cover piece next. So now this glue, although it's called paper bindery glue, will work on fabric as well. So if you're doing a fabric cover, you don't need a different glue. This glue works just as well. So this one is now going in to, I'll tell you what, if I had it, I would put some low tack tape just to keep that in the right place. Make sure I can get that off. There we go. So, and again, I'm just going to flip that over and give that a little bit of a, make sure I've got no air bubbles. Okay, and then the last thing I want to put in is the spine. Like so. Put a little bit too much glue on that one, but never mind. Okay, and then that sits in there. So we should have it all lined up. And I'm going to turn it over and just give that one a little bit of a two. Okay. Right, so I can now remove, I haven't glued it to my template. And if you have, like me, got glue on it, that's the joy of this thing. Once the glue's dry, it will just peel off. So now, let's get rid of the glue for the moment. Well, the gluing mat. I need the glue, but the gluing mat is not so important enough. So, now, Janie, to do the corners, Janie does have a tool. Now, it does come in a bundle. So if you are thinking that you are going to invest and you're probably wanting to get some more tools, then this comes with, let me see if I can just find my, this comes with these are spine spacers. I will do some videos of those in the future at some point, and I can't find it, but there is somewhere in amongst my mess, there is an L-shaped spacer, which when you're making your own books, it helps you to get the right amount of edging around like this. Now, the only reason I mentioned that bundle, which is also launching, is because of this. Now, this is a prototype, and the one that will come with the bundle is pink, as are all Janie's things. But the reason I mention it is because these are perfect for getting mitered corners. Now, there's a couple of ways it can be used. You can see my fingers are on it there, and I can either draw the line and then cut, or if I want to, providing you don't cut into this, you can cut it off. Okay, like so. You can see that I don't know whether one of the ways I didn't have a hold of it properly, so you can see I've not quite got that straight. Now, you can, if you don't have the tool, you can draw your own lines. Now, you can use, I'm going to work out which way I'm going to be able to do this to show you on my board. Here we go. I have on my cutting board these diagonal lines, which are 45 degrees. So you could use those. So I could cut from there to there. Now, the only thing that you need to remember, can you see there is a gap between the edge of the paper and the edge of the board? You need to leave that gap, otherwise you won't get a nice mitered corner. And that's why the corner guides are perfect. But if you're not ready to invest in the whole of the kit, and I can perfectly understand that if you're just beginning your journey, then you can, like I say, in fact, I'm going to do it. Where's my? Can you see? I'm going to use that bit there to put my corner in, and I'm just going to use my ruler. Now, when you're cutting with the ruler, make sure you're cutting against the edge. And I'm going to kind of roughly, because these are centimetre marks. So if I go roughly halfway, and I need to try and make sure I'm getting it nice and vertical, so keeping my ruler in line here, I get a similar effect. But you can see I'm too far away with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually just use the edge of the metal as my guide. And that's probably nearer. As long as you leave a little bit of a gap, it's fine. Okay, so I'll show you one more with the corner guide. So this, as I said, these were prototypes that were given to the ambassadors to try out. It's got a roughish edge, which gives it a bit of grip. This is the guard for your fingers if you're going to cut with it. But like I didn't do on the first, I didn't make sure it was nice and square in before I cut. So I'm going to do that this time. I'll make sure I'm cutting down and not into the plastic. Okay. So then I'm going to do another one with the ruler, just to show that if you don't have the little corner guide, you can still get this effect. So I'm using this corner bit here, and if you don't have it on your a piece like that on your cutting board, then use one of the 90 degrees and do it that way. Just be careful if you're cutting with a knife. It might be better at this point to use a pencil to draw. So what I'm doing is I'm putting the edge of the metal bit that I can see. Lining that up with the corner, and then I'm going to draw a line. It's too far out. Again, it doesn't make a huge amount of difference as long as I've left the gap. So we're going to go with that. And this time I'll cut it with scissors, just to show that if you're not particularly liking using knives, you can cut it. So you can cut the corners without this, but this makes it so much easier. But this comes as part of a whole other bundle. And as I said just now, if you're not quite ready to invest in that bundle, and you're just trying it out with these templates, which is what they're perfect for, then you can still do it that way. Okay, so now you may be wondering why those have been left, and that's because if you don't, your book is not going to fold over. So this is 2mm board, so you need to leave at least that in order for it to go up, and that's why this is perfectly done on the template. You haven't got to worry about it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I am going to, in fact, what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to cover the spine. Now I can't remember if this is the way Janie does it or not, but the way I'm thinking is if I cover the spine first, and then when I fold this over, that will be hidden, if you like, won't get a sort of an edge there. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off the white edge. Janie's prints always come with the white edge. So I tend to cut them off before I start to know where I'm at in terms of placing things. So I'm kind of thinking I'd like to use that bit on the inside of the cover there. I'm just trying to make sure my guillotine doesn't go, and I might want to use that bit there. So what I might use is this. I'm not going to be able to do that. I need to make sure I've got enough to overlap. Yeah, we'll go with that. Okay, right. Sorry, I'm just thinking there. Now, to cover my spine, I need enough to cover this spine, enough to go down each of these ditches, and then enough to then stick this side. So I'm probably going to go to about there, making sure that's going to give me enough for that, and that's enough for that. Yeah. Now, you don't need to faff like I am. You could just cut one bit off. I'm just trying to look at my placement of my patterns, because that's how I'm trying to make sure that I get it placed nicely. So I'm going to make a mark here. They're going to give me enough in a mark here. And then I'm just going to get my guillotine back. And then I'm going to there and there. So it looks quite wide. I'm just hoping I've left enough. I have, yeah. It looks quite wide. Like I said, you need to make sure you have enough that is going to, I'm just making sure I've got this all right, enough that's going to be wide enough. Now I also need it to just be the right height. So I am going to mark it here. And I'm going to cut it, because this edge is not going to be seen once you fold the other bit over. Okay. So I'm going to start by putting glue just on here, and I'm just going to put a little bit in here and in here, because we're going to push it down in a minute. Whoops, I might have got a little bit too much glue there. We'll see. Okay, so my spatula, just going to spread this out. I'm just going to go in there, a little bit of that out there. So I'm just going to place this roughly central. So remember, at the moment there's no glue on the side, and that's what we want, because you don't want it to stick. So I'm pushing it down on that bit, and now I need to push it down into the holes. Now I have a tendency to be a bit rough doing this, so just ease it down in. If my bone folder is too wide, I'm just going to use something else. There we go, that's a bit better. So find something that will fit in. My bone folder is too wide. That's what I'm doing, is I'm pushing it in. And I know I can see, because I was trying too hard with my bone folder, that I have split my paper. But it's not going to show too much, because first of all, it's down in this dip. And secondly, we're going to obviously attach our signatures in here. So now that's in, I'm going to put some glue under here. And press that on down. And I'm going to put some glue under this side. And press that down. Okay. All right, so now we've got that done. And then now I can push this over. This will just fold in as we do it, so you don't need to worry too much about that. So I'm going to stick these down now. Okay, so we'll start with the long one. So I like to run a line of glue along these edges, just so because this board is quite thick, I do like to make sure that it's going to stick to the edge of the board. Okay, bring that over and so. And then I'm going to do the same on this side, making sure I've gone against the boards, like so, over, like so. Now, to get a nice rounded corner, what you need to do is to bring that corner, I don't know if you can see that, if I've got that in the right place, whether it will focus. It's just a case of bringing this round. Let's try it on this side. Just bringing that little bit round. Just means you won't get the exposed corner of the board. So it's a case of just bringing it round with your foam folder. You just see that it's just folded over. So when I fold this up, you're going to get a nicely mitered corner. Now, this, as you can see, is only just matching up, and that's okay, but that is also the risk you run with cutting them yourself. You can always get over that by bringing your papers that you cover on the inside as far out as you can. That's absolutely fine. But if you use the corner cutters on all four corners, which we didn't, then they will meet better than they have done here. There's nothing wrong with what we've done here. It just gives a better finish with the other tool. But like I said, you know, you might not be ready for the other tool yet. So we're making sure that we have ways to do this without. So there we have our cover. Okay. Brilliant. Now, what we want to do is cover these bits. So this is where I'm putting these in. And like I say, now as we had those little things that don't quite meet, we can bring our papers right up to the corners to make sure that we barely notice them. That's good. That's going to fit really nicely. Yeah, we'll have that one there. So I'm just going to mark here. That one's going to sit here. And as you can see, we then barely noticed this little gap that where it didn't quite meet. And then we're going to do similar over here. So let's see, we want it to go out there with the rose. And then we want it to go, I want it to be the same height as that one. So let's measure it against there. I have a tendency to do these things by eye. So, but There is nothing wrong if you want to do a bit more accurate measuring. I am a little bit of a by eye kind of person. I'm very much I like making junk journals, so things don't need to be accurate. With Janie's bookbinding, she does like them to be accurate, so I try my best. So we're going to stick these on like so. There we go. This one, let's make sure we've got that up the right way. This one is going to go here. Oops. And then this one on this one. There we go. So there we have our cover. Okay, and that's how accurate and beautiful it can look using that template. That template does all the hard work for you. Well, it's done half of the hard work for you. It's now going to do even more of the hard work for you. Okay. She says, where did she put it? There we go. So this little bit now, this is a really, really important piece of kit. And you really need to, well, I say you don't really need to, but it does help to attach some of this with low tack tape, but I've packed some of my stuff away because I need a sort of go bag, if you like, but I can't remember where I put half the stuff, so but we're not going to worry too much. Anyway, so let's go back to this. As you can see, it perfectly fits the spine, and it has five columns of holes. Okay, and you might find when you get them, some of the bits are not fully through. There's only one on there. Now, you also will have this is a central hole, so this is the center column and the central row. So we've got 5 columns, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 rows. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the central hole. And that's really important, because knowing where the center of your spine is important, because your stitching, where you place your stitching, all works from that central point. That's why this template is so great, because you haven't got to spend the time working it out yourself. If you're making your own books and you're making different sizes, like I like to do, just depends what I fancy, you have to be able to work out where that central point is and then work out the spacing of everything. This does it for you. You do not need to use all the holes every time. It depends on what kind of stitching, and I know that there are some instructions coming with this. I didn't get them, I just got the template, so I'm just explaining it the best that I know. So what we're going to do is we're going to use 5 signatures. Now, if you're not if you don't know what a signature is, it's basically a set of papers. So each column of holes is for 1 signature, and that's where you will stitch this signature in, and then the next one will be stitched along that line, and so on. So the maximum signatures you can have using this template are 5, but you don't have to use all 5. If you wanted more pages in each signature, you might have thicker signatures, so you might only have 2 and just use these 2 columns, this one and this one. Or you might just have 3 and use this one, and this one. I know Janie tends to use all 5 and have 5 signatures, but personally for me, as someone who's done a bit more bookbinding, not that I've done more than Janie, I didn't mean it like that, but as someone who has done a bit more bookbinding and likes to fiddle around, I would do various different things. I use vintage papers. I use all sorts in my journals, and sometimes I like a lot of space for when I'm sticking things in for it to expand. But what we're going to do is we're going to use all 5. We're going to have 5 signatures. I'll show you how to make those in a moment. But what we're not going to do is to use every single hole in the row. We're going to do what's called a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. It's the simplest basic stitch to start. So which means we know this is our central line. So we're going to need these ones. And then we're going to use this one and this one. So 3 holes. It's 3 holes per signature. Okay. And that's the basic. But this template, I'll give you a few more names of things. This template will allow you to do 5-hole pamphlet. You could do a couple of different types of long stitch on this. You could do chain stitch. I think you could probably do French sling stitch, but you know, this little bit of plastic with just these holes is just so versatile. So we're going to keep it basic for this video, and we're going to do a 3-hole pamphlet. So what that means is I need to, for each signature, I need to put 3 holes. Okay, so I'm going to get my bit of my punching platform, and this is how we're going to use. I'm going to do something that I probably shouldn't, but just because I've got it handy, I've got a bit of masking tape here. I'm going to take some of the tack off of it and just use it to hold my thing in place. Normally I would do this with low tack. Like I said, I've got some things packed away in a bag and I don't have them to hand right now. So all I'm doing is I'm just using a little bit of masking tape. I'm not going to press it really hard down, just to hold. Now I know I want the end 2 and the middle one, so I'm just going to use this in between just to hold it down on my spine, and then I'm not worrying about it slipping. Probably won't need that bit. Okay, so this is the top bit, so we're going to need to punch all of those 5. We're going to need to punch all of these 5 at the bottom. I can already see that my this isn't quite straight on my spine, so just fiddling it around. That's okay. Right, and then I need to make sure I'm in the middle one. So if I count down 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is the middle. This is the middle one. So I'm going to do these first. Now I know. So with your awl, you want to be doing it vertically, which is why you're not going to be able to see me. Okay, so I'm just going to go in. And I'm just going to check whether I've gone through. I have. So I don't need to press all the way through to the bottom of my cardboard. So I'm just going to press. That's it. Now, you can use something called a screw punch when you've got a thick card like this, but we'll go with the basic awl because you need the awl. I'm moving this down just a little. I just need to check that I've gone through there. I don't know that I did. I'm a bit, yeah, there. So punching these through. Like so. If you do have a screw punch, don't punch it through here. Use a marker pen to mark them, and then punch. What you don't want to be doing is damaging your spine template. Okay, so we've got one there, one there, one there, one there, and one there. Right, okay. So Just going to check, and I can feel all my holes and see all my holes. Yes, see them all like so. So there we go. So I now have my holes ready for my 3-hole pamphlet stitch. Okay, so the template job is almost done. We are going to need it in a moment for one more thing. Okay, right, signatures. So a signature, if I remember rightly, I did ask Janie this, if I remember rightly, where in the olden days, when all books were made, you know, by hand and sewn, the bookmaker would have to sign, I think, the signature, each group of papers, to ensure they were in the right order, I think, and that's where the name signature comes from. Okay, so if you have a look in most books, not necessarily paperback books, but hardbound books, if you look at them, particularly older books, you'll see the way that they are bound. I mean, okay, just grabbing, I use all sorts of different books. Even in this book, this is a wildflower book. You can see the signatures here. You can see all the signatures. So each one of these is what's called a signature. These are quite big signatures, but they are still. Can you see they are still sewn in? You can see the. I take these books apart from my junk journals. They're old ones rescued from secondhand book stores and the like. Anyway, I digress. So I've already made 3 signatures because you don't really need to see me make 5, but I am going to show you how to make them. So what if I get this part of the template back? Your signatures need to be the same size, same height as your cover, and twice the width. So basically with A6, you're looking for an A5 piece of paper that you then fold in half. Okay. Again, now as you get more into your bookbinding, Janie does a thing called a book hook. It's like a bench hook, which is perfect for making sure you fold your papers correctly. But for now, we don't need to. So all I'm going to do, I've gone for 5 signatures, and I've got 4 sheets folded in half for each signature. Now this paper is Janie's recycled cartridge paper. So you can get hold of that, and obviously I'm getting so each signature for this is 2 sheets of cartridge paper. Okay, so that's 1. We're going to do something else with it in a moment. I'll explain. So just show you again. So just literally folded them in half. As I said, the book hook does help. So I've got a bit of a mess on my thing. If you're into making junk journals, then you won't be too bothered about whether the pieces are the same size or not. I mean, that's where I would do a 5-hole pamphlet stitch because it helps to catch in others, but that's for another day. I'll do a more junky journal with the template and show you a 5-hole pamphlet stitch. Right, so now if you had the book hook, it has a nice 2 straight edges that you can butt everything up against, but I'm trying to show you as much as I can how to do this just using the new template so that you don't feel you've got to buy loads. I mean, like, as I said, there are certain things you will need, like an awl, a metal edge ruler, a knife, but you can do little shortcuts when you're starting, because it's like you don't want to be making huge investment if it's for something you're then going to go, "Oh, I'm not really into it." So this is how, if you can see, when you put the paper in together, because you're tucking one into each other, these bits start to stick out. Now, as a junk journaler, when I'm making junk journals, that doesn't bother me in the slightest. But when you're making a book, a nice, neat notebook, if you're giving it as a present or you're doing it to sell, then you kind of prefer it to be nice and flush. And what you don't really want is it hanging out the end of your notebook. So this is here, it might just hang out a little bit, which we don't want. So what I would do in this case, and what I've done with these, is I've pushed them in, and then I have lined up the bottom of the signature against one of my straight lines. And then this top sheet, I've tried to line the edge up with a line on my board. Can you see that? And then I'm going to take my metal ruler and line it up with that line. And with my knife, any pressure should be coming from your hand onto the ruler, not the knife. The knife is just going to slide it over the top multiple times. The edges will come up. This is where you need a knife that's sharp. And this is where I realized my other knife, the blade, needs sorting out, because I was ending up with nasty kind of ruffled edges, a bit like that, because I haven't cut that properly there. Now, if you don't get them exactly straight, don't fuss. What I would say, don't keep going in and cutting more and more off. That's perfectly good enough. Okay, and you can see they're all now pretty much the same size, because I've gone with that, using the top sheet as the guide. So remember, what I did is I lined the bottom of my signature against the line on my board, and the edge of the top sheet against one of the vertical lines. And when pressure is on the ruler, and then just bringing a nice sharp knife, which I don't think any of my knives are sharp. Needs to be sorted. If you haven't got a sharp knife, this is what happens, particularly as you get further down, you end up with bumpy bits, although that didn't do too bad. So I've now got my 5 signatures, okay? And again, we're going to use this. As you progress, you might want to invest in Janie's piercing cradle. I'm just going to show you the cradle, because you'll understand then why this is useful. When you are piercing your signatures and you sit them in the cradle, they're at the right angle for you to get your awl in vertically and not sort of poking through the sides. But you might not want, again, this is something you might not want to invest in yet. So we're going to look at how we do it. You can do it okay on this. We just have to be a little bit more creative. So I am going to take my now, the reason I'll explain the reason why you need it like that. What happens is the papers will move if you have it too flat. So we're going to try to do it that way. But what I want on this middle one is, with my pencil, I want to line this up with my signature, and then I want to say, right, we need this end line and this end line, and then we need the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So those are the 3 places I'm going to poke my awl through. Okay, and I'm going to just mark all of my signatures that way. Now, Janie will talk about keeping your signatures in the right order and flipping them over. If you're still sort of learning, something to try to do. So I'm trying to keep them in the same order at the moment. But life is not going to end if you don't remember to flip them. Okay. So I'm just doing this. Oh, hello, what's happened here? 1, 2. That one's not gone inside that one. Well, that'd be interesting. That might mean it might pick out a little bit. Oh, all right. So again, use the middle one and that one. Okay. And then our last signature. The end one, the middle one, and the end one. Right, so there's the holes. So what I want to try to do is to hold my signature kind of up like that when I'm piercing my holes. So can you see the mark? And I'm putting my awl, and I'm going to, and that's enough. I've gone through. I don't need to put much pressure. There we go. And then I'm just gonna and holding it in that V shape helps you to make sure you get the holes on the crease and not coming through the side. Okay, so that's, I'm going to turn that one there. And probably, if Janie's watching this, she's probably going to be shaking her head at me going, no, no, no. Right, so in there, you can hear it going. It doesn't need to go in very far. We're not trying to make a massive hole. What you don't want is your thread swimming around in the hole. So that one's going to go over there. Again, can keep it V, straight down, straight down, straight down. Okay, that. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. I've done 3. Thinking, goodness, this one's not in the right place either. 1, 2, 3. In, 2. You can see I'm not having to press very hard. Now, I will say something. I when I first started, I just bought an awl off of Amazon, and I thought it was absolutely fine. And then the last Ambassador's Retreat, I was trying to use it, and Janie was looking at it, and she said, try this one. I thought, okay. This awl from her is just amazing. I actually broke mine because I couldn't get it to go through what I needed it to go through. This is just like, so anyway, I digress. So I now got my signatures there. And what we're going to do now is we're going to sew them into our book. Okay, so right, let's keep it. I never know which way around. Janie will be pulling her hair out. So I have my black thread. I've chosen this one. It kind of goes with the roses, black, red. the variegated one. I do quite like variegated. Now, I'm thinking, I can't honestly remember, we'll go with, for this one, we'll go with just a bit more than twice the length of the signature. And this will be for each one, okay? And we're just going to thread the needle. Okay. I'm probably going to find I haven't got enough thread, but we'll see. If we haven't got enough thread, that's fine. I can just pull it out and we can go again. So this is the back. So we're going to start with the back. And I'm going to take this one. And I'm going to put my needle through that hole. Okay. And then through the hole on the board, the back one, the furthest one away. So we're going through. Try out of shot there. There we go. I'm going to hold that there. We're going to try to keep in this, not try, you need to keep in the same line. So through and through. Probably not demonstrating it the best way. Mind your fingers. Okay. Now, the reason I'm just pushing on it like that is we are going through thick board, and I did only use the awl. I didn't use the a screw punch to punch a bigger hole. So you just have to be a little bit more patient, a little bit more push. It will go through and it'll be nice and snug, and it'll keep your signatures nice and snug. So I went from the inside to the outside, then from the outside to the inside, and then I've gone all the way to the other end, to the outside, and this is where we're finding out whether I've got enough thread. I think I might just be on the line, so we might want to say next time 2.5. Now when you're pulling, always pull in the direction that you're sewing. Yeah, so don't pull back that way, pull that way. And then what we want to do is we want to go back in this one where we came out before, in through, but what we want to do is to try not to split this thread, and that's not always as easy said as done. All right, and I can guarantee you will do it multiple times. Okay, so what the other thing you need to do is to make sure that one thread is to this side and the other thread is to this side, so they're both underneath. And then you're just going to, I'm just going to give it a little bit of a pull to make sure I've got my tension. And tension is another thing. It comes I want to say it comes with practice. I am still working on getting the tension right on my projects, so don't worry too much about it. And then you just tie it off. You can do a double knot if you want. You can cut those ends off if you want. I'm going to leave them like that for the moment. And that's our first signature in our book. Okay, so we're going to repeat that process. But what we are going to do is we're going to go about 2.5 times, because that was a bit tight. So 1, 2, and like that. That was a bit tight, wasn't it? So we'll go with that. So I've got another 4 to do. So I'm just going to measure off another 4. 1, 2, that's 3. Let's just hope that's enough, because if not, I'll have to cut more. Never mind, that's fine. Right, so I've now got the rest of my thread ready. Okay, so I'm going to take my signature and it goes, so I've picked it up and gone that way, and I'm hoping that's right. But for the sake of what we're doing at the moment, which is just learning some basic how to get a book together, I'm not going to worry too much. It'll be Janie that will be on my back, but never mind. Never mind. Right, so I'm going to do exactly the same again. So in through the middle. Now on the next set of holes, so can you see we're going in this hole this time. There we go. That's it. And we leave a tail. I don't think I said leave a tail last time, but you need to leave a tail, and you could see why, because we need to tie it. Okay. So then we're going to come back in this one, and I always tend to do this so I can see where I'm going, but be careful not to stab yourself with a needle. And like before, I'm just using sort of gravity, if you like, to push that down. Don't pull that through. Okay, move it there. Okay, so we went from the middle to the outside, come along and in, and then we're going to go all the way to the other end, through the hole and through the hole out. Pull that out, like so. And then we want to come back in this hole, trying not to split the thread. And that should come through. There we're through. And try to bring it through. Ooh, don't split the middle thread. Try to bring it through on the other side. Now, as you can see, this is really loose. So I'm going to need to do a little bit of pulling. Bring that on through. We've got plenty of thread. Got one from one extreme to the other. And then tie this off. Now this time I'm going to cut this off because I don't want long bits like that. You can tuck them under, you know, do it how you want. I would say do it how you want. You know, there might be a proper way to do it, but for me, I quite like that. So you see so far, we've got the two. This one's a little loose, but you know, it's not bad. So I'm going to sew the other three in. I'm going to just probably speed the video up so that you can still see what I'm doing, but it's a little bit quicker. Okay. Because I want you to be able to see the whole of it being made, because I know if this is new, then you need to see it all. So remember, I've got my signatures down there. I'm going to take this signature, flip it over, and that one's going in here. Okay. This, can you see here? This is what you get with a blunt knife. But never mind. So off we go. So you'll see that I sped up a little bit, but I thought you don't really need to see me doing it over and over. If you need to re-watch how to do the pamphlet stitch, then just you know, go back over the first couple that I did. Yeah, so now we have our book, our little book with our 3-hole pamphlet stitch. We have our covers, we have our 5 signatures. Like I said, you can tie these off a bit more, you can cut them shorter. I always like to leave them. You might want to, you know, use them as part of your thing. And if you can focus on that, If you don't like the way this looks, for example, you might think, oh, I didn't get it very even, get it neat. There is something you can do. I'm just trying to see if I've got a piece I can show you. This is totally not the right piece of fabric, but if you wanted, you could add a fabric cover to the spine and stick it over like that. So if you, I mean, I like the way this looks, but if you look at it and think, oh, I really don't like the way it looks a bit messy, then you can use the same paper bindery glue, cover it in lace or fabric, fray the edges, fray the top. It then becomes something that you can, it's yours. You can do what you like with it. But hopefully that has shown you how to use this to make a 5 signature pamphlet stitch notebook. And this is a completely hard spine, hardback book. Please, if you have any questions, then drop a comment in the comment section. And like I say, I mean, I'm hoping I can come back and show you different ways of using this template, the spine template for stitching, different types of stitching. I'm definitely going to do the A7 one as well, just to show you how that works as well. So yeah, if you're watching this prior to the 1st of July 2024, these launch on the 1st of July, on Monday the 1st of July on Hobby Maker. Don't know the times of the shows at the moment, but hey, keep an eye out. But yeah, these are brilliant for if you're a beginner, if you're just starting out in your book making, but also like me, just something quick, easy, just to make all the calculation a little bit simpler. So thank you for joining me. Yeah, I'll be back very soon to show you other ways of using this template, and also to show you how to use the A7 template that comes in this amazing set. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you again soon.